Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're demystifying a really important law that touches every single workplace in India, the POSH Act. Now, whether you're an employee, a manager, or a business owner, getting your head around your rights and responsibilities isn't just a good idea, it's the law. All right, let's just dive right in with a crucial question that every single business leader, manager, and employee in India should be asking themselves. Is your workplace actually fully compliant with the law when it comes to the safety of women? The answer, you might find, is a little more complicated than a simple yes or no. So, before we get into the nuts and bolts of compliance, the checklists and the paperwork, it's really important to understand the why. What's the fundamental goal of this law? Why was it even created? And what problem is it trying to solve? Okay, so here it is. The official name is the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act of 2013, but everyone just calls it the POSH Act. And its mission is really twofold. It's not just about prohibiting sexual harassment. It's also about creating a clear, reliable system for redressal, a way to handle things when incidents do happen. The whole point is to build a foundation for safe and respectful workplaces across the country. So, who does this law actually apply to? You might be thinking, is this just for big corporations? Or maybe just government offices? Well, the answer is way, way broader than most people realize. And it's really important for everyone to get this. I mean, look at this. The language in the act is so simple and so powerful, it applies to every workplace. We're not just talking about multinational corporations. We are talking about nonprofits, small startups, local shops, even restaurants. Basically, if it's a place where people work, the POSH Act applies. So while the act covers pretty much everywhere, there's a specific trigger that kicks in mandatory compliance. And this isn't just about your full-time employees. The law is very clear that it counts everyone who works for you. And that magic number is 10. The minute your organization has 10 or more people on its roster, and that includes absolutely everyone, part-timers, interns, consultants, you name it, a whole set of specific legal responsibilities kicks in. So let's break down what those are. Okay, let's get down to what you actually need to do. The law is really built on 4 clear, foundational pillars of compliance. Think of these as your core, non-negotiable responsibilities. And here they are. First, you have to form an internal complaints committee, or ICC. This is basically your internal justice system. Second, you've got to create a formal POSH policy so everyone knows the rules of the road. Third, you must conduct regular training to build awareness. And fourth, you have to file an annual report to ensure accountability. Put them all together, and that's your complete safety framework. Let's zoom in on what is arguably the most critical of these pillars, the Internal Complaints Committee, or ICC. This committee is the absolute heart of the entire process. It's the body that is responsible for handling any and all complaints. Now, the law is incredibly specific about who has to be on this committee, and for very good reason. It requires a senior-level female employee as the presiding officer. You also need 2 members from inside the company with relevant experience, and this is so crucial, 1 external member from an NGO or a similar association. This external member is there to ensure impartiality and to bring in an expert, unbiased perspective. And on top of all that, there's another really important rule that's legally mandated. At least half of the total members of the ICC must be women. This isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's a structural requirement designed to make sure that women's voices are central to the entire process. But look, having an ICC and a policy on paper isn't enough. The law demands real accountability. You have to document your activities, and you have to report them. You have to prove that you're actively doing what you're supposed to be doing. This accountability really comes to life in the ICC's annual report. It's basically a transparent record of everything that happened that year. How many complaints were filed? How many were resolved? Are there any cases still pending? How many training workshops did you run? This isn't just an internal document either. It gets submitted to both the employer and the government's district officer. And this is where the accountability really hits home. That data doesn't just get filed away in some government office. It must be included in the company's official director's report. This is a game changer because it elevates POSH compliance from just an HR task to a board-level responsibility. The directors are now directly accountable. So what happens if an organization just decides to ignore all of this? Well, the law definitely has teeth, And the consequences for noncompliance are significant, both financially and for your company's reputation. For a first-time offense, things like failing to create an ICC or not acting on its recommendations, or maybe not filing that annual report, the penalty can go up to 50,000 rupees. But the law gets much, much tougher on repeat offenders. A second violation can lead to double the penalty. And here's the big one. It can actually lead to the cancellation or non-renewal of your business license. So the risk escalates from just a fine to something that could literally shut your business down. And really, this all brings us to one final big picture question. The POSH Act gives us a mandatory framework, a set of rules we have to follow. But is true compliance just about checking off boxes to avoid getting fined? Or is it about using that framework as a foundation to build a genuine culture of safety, dignity, and respect? That, I think, is the real challenge, and it's the ultimate goal.